Hello, welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. Well, it's that time of year again. I broke out the old red flannel quilted shirt. It's getting a little chilly. I got a few setbacks I want to talk about, a few little updates. I just got back from Tennessee and we were there for a week, brought some guests down, and I didn't want to freak them out with documenting our whole thing on video. So, to sum it up, I did a lot of projects. I had to fix the arcade machine, just some general maintenance stuff. I cut down some minor scrub trees that were growing. And then we took our guest out and gave him a little tour of the areas, some of the hot spots of the Smoky Mountains. They wanted to see some wildlife and some nature, and I think we delivered on that. We took them to go see some elk, and sometimes it's hit or miss when you see the elk, and I think we were very successful. They got to see a group of them in the field. They got to see them drinking from a stream. They walked in front of the path that we were walking on, and we got to see the elk cross country team in the Great Smoky Mountains, which was a new one for me. Got to see some bears out into the national park, so that was kind of neat. But today I need a little advice, and then we'll get into the main project. But I'm looking for a little bit of advice and tell you about some setbacks with my pole barn. So here, come check out what I'm talking about. Okay, so the first thing is I called our zoning department because there's a question about the height. And I thought anything over 15 feet, you need to get a variance. So I called them. I think the roof of my pole barn is going to be under 15 feet, but it's going to have a cupola on top. And I didn't know if the cupola counted as part of the roof line and the overall height. So I called them and they didn't have a clue. They had never had anybody ask that question. They were looking at a plot of our property and they said, well, where do you plan on putting this? And our house is behind the camera here in front of me. And then out front is the street, which is about 800 feet. And she's telling me that, well, you're not allowed to build anything in front of your house. And I said, well, I really don't want to build behind the house because I'd have to cut down a lot of trees back there. We like the nature, and we kind of have an area already picked out in the front, and it's still going to be about 600, 650 feet back from the road. It's really not going to affect anybody. No one is going to see it from the road. The only neighbor that's going to see it is the one to my right, and he's got a good sized pole barn that he just put up. And I'll show you a little bit of that. And it's going to actually butt up pretty close to his. So she said you're going to have to apply for a variance. There's no guarantees that they're going to approve it, and it's a $500 filing fee. You have to submit your plans by the 7th of every month, and then they review it the following month. I'm still waiting on a couple other prices. I talked to some builders and stuff like that. We're going to go ahead with it, and hopefully they're going to pass this. But you know, it's not a sure thing. But we're going to kind of move forward as if we're still going to build it. I might have somebody build it rather than me doing the whole thing. So we'll see how that goes. Depends how the prices come back. But I talked to this gentleman. He's built a couple other pole barns. And in fact, he built this one that's very similar to the size that I want. And it was a very reasonable price. It was only about $1,500, about $2,000 more than if I were to buy the materials myself. And he'd have it up in about 3 to 4 days, weather providing, of course. It's a very tempting offer to go with this guy if things pan out. I staked it out and I used the Harbor Freight laser level, and it doesn't have to be super accurate just to give you an idea. And this would be the far left corner if you were looking at the front of it. And then over here would be the opposite corner. And the distance, when we did the line level, it drops about 19 inches. So I need to level this out. I'm just looking for a little advice what you would do. I'm thinking of taking just a little bit of dirt off the high side and moving it to the low side. Not a lot because I know it's going to compress. I'm going to drive over it a lot, try to get it packed down. And then I was thinking of using some recycled concrete, recycled street It's got various sizes of stone in it, plus a lot of powder. And I used that on my daughter's driveway to make her little turnaround. And I was very happy with that stuff. It packed down really good. It doesn't look like it was going to need much settling. So I'm thinking about using that for kind of a base. And I'm going to lay it heavier on the low side and lighter up here on the high side. And then a bed of gravel on top of that. If somebody else has a better idea, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear it. And I've got some time now to mull things over. So the main door of going into the pole barn is going to be facing right here in this direction. And this tree is going to kind of hamper my progress of getting things in and out of the pole barn. So it's fortunate that it did die and that we're not going to kill a live tree, but it's going to have to come out. And then it should give me a nice clear path of getting in and out. I don't think I need to kill any more trees. There's some brush on the right that I'm going to clear out later on once I start to level this out a little bit. But
Does have a lean towards my shed on the left. The right shouldn't be a problem, and the height where I'm going to have to cut this above that V is a little uncomfortable for me.
All right, here we go. Yeah, that was a good one. Oh.
There it is. Yay!
As soon as I started this cut, I knew I'm not going to be able to do it without a ladder. I also got my safety glasses, just in case you're wondering. I always try to be very careful. I am by no means a professional when it comes to cutting down trees. I've cut down quite a few, and I always look for cause and effect. One thing about being on this step ladder is I don't like that I don't have a quick exit to get off. Can't see, but it is a little hung up on some of the other branches of the other trees up there, and I think once I get a good cut through, it's going to come down, but it's just a little trial and error right now. So this second part is leaning more towards the shed. So almost the same thing happens here. It kind of gets caught up in a few of the other branches from some of the trees surrounding it. I can tell you the 1-2 combo with the brush crusher and my carryall on the back for disposing of cut down trees makes things a lot quicker than it used to in the past. With the brush crusher, you could basically cut the whole log even while you're holding it. The tines are spaced enough far apart that you can get your chainsaw bar in between them, and the teeth will hold the sections that you're cutting. to leave the trunk kind of high so when I come back and dig out the stump, I got a little bit more leverage. My brush pile's getting a little high here. I'm just using the front end loader just to kind of pack it down a little bit, and I'm gonna burn this on a day when we got low wind. Right now it's a very moist day. Tomorrow we're supposed to get about 1 to 2 inches of rain, so maybe shortly after that.
Okay, I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you like and enjoy these videos. Subscribe, click on that little bell when a new one's coming out. Check us out next week, weather providing. I'm going to try to dig out that stump, and I'm going to test this out. I've had it for a little while, but it took a long time after I ordered to get it. And I'm going to put this on my backhoe and see if it makes it easier cutting that stump out. So come check it out next week. Take care.